What if we just... Wait a second. So what if somehow I made music out of my custom mechanical keyboards? I mean, think of it. All of us keyboard snobs love making custom mechanical keyboards because they sound good, and then we modify them to adjust the sound to our preferences. So what if I use my keyboards to make certain sounds that could actually sound decent in the context of a full song? But how? You may be asking. Well, as you may or may not know, I do have some experience in music production, so perhaps with a bit of producer magic, I could manipulate the sounds of the keyboards to make something special, or completely awful. I guess you'll have to see for that. But first, let's take a look at our victims. This is the VAS60R2, my main board. Built in here we have a sculpted polycarbonate plate, stock KTT strawberries, ink V2 stabs, and GMK hammerhead light, with plate foam and very thin case foam so it doesn't bottom out. This is the VAS60R1, my first full custom keyboard. We have an FR4 plate with lubed navy R2 switches, but a KTT rose in the spacebar, ink V2 stabilizers once again, and novel keys purple, blue, and white with a GMK spacebar for that sweet sound. This is the Praxis IM, which I recently reviewed, with an aluminum plate, lubed KTT strawberries, Davies, and GMK synthwave. This is the LK67, the cheapest board of the bunch. Got a steel plate I think, and is stuffed with PE foam and tape mod. Both V4Ts, Cat Alpha, you know how this is gonna sound. This is the Socket 68, the most beautiful looking disappointment in my life. We got a brass plate with the switches being cotton candy housings and springs with alpaca stems. We also got pretty scuffed stabilizers and Geek Arc black on white. Finally, we have the Windex 65, built with a palm plate, stock red R2 switches, ink V2s, DCS white on black, and plate foam. Now that we're introduced to the whole roster, let's get the sounds that we actually need. As I abuse my keyboards, let me tell you about today's sponsor, PCBWAY. PCBWAY is your one-stop shop for all your custom project needs, whether that's CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, or custom PCB surfaces. They got you covered, all at competitive prices. Make your own projects come to life, or use open source designs, it's all up to you. And just like PCBWAY will quickly manufacture your PCBs, I'm going to quickly manufacture some heat with these keyboard sounds. Hopefully. But be sure to check out PCBWAY in the description. Okay, here are the rules. All I'm allowed to use when making this song is the keyboards from the recording I had. Not a single other sound is allowed to enter the project. All I can do is use these sounds and manipulate them however I see fit. And now it's time to get into FL Studio and see what we're working with. This was pretty daunting though, because it's not very often that I can just sit down and come up with a decent idea, let alone while only using clacks, thocks, and knocks. If you want a more detailed, geeky explanation on how I made this song, then go check out my other channel that I just made, all about music production, but for here I'll keep it relatively simple. So the first day went actually surprisingly much better than I expected. I started by making some percussion just to lay down the fundamentals of the beat, so I made a sort of usable kick, and then eventually made a clap as well. For the rest of the sounds, there's this effect I use that kind of carried this entire challenge. It's called vocodex, and I think it's better to show you how it sounds rather than explain. Then I made a sound out of the ping of my VAST R1, because it had like a sort of tonal sound which I wanted to make something melodic out of it. Then I made some bass sounds like this, and whatever this is. Then I made some more percussion that kind of sounded like open hats. I made some really weird, wonky sounds with that effect I mentioned earlier. And then some like impacts and little background elements. And after all that, this is what I first came up with. Things happen, okay, I don't know how I ended up there. But eventually, I ended up making this. better, I guess, but still not quite what I was going for. I was still pretty happy with it though, especially because of the fact that I made it all out of mechanical keyboard sounds. So then I went to bed and kept on working on it about 2 days later, with the goal of making something I could actually kind of vibe to. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'm just gonna leave it there. I know it's like a rough mix, but to be honest, I don't want to be spending like weeks on this song. So I just wanted to leave it there. I was pretty happy with it for what it is, you know. If you're wondering how I got all those sounds and made them out of the keyboards, then again, check out my other channel and the video there. There I'll go in depth, whatever, if you guys actually care. And also on that channel, I'm gonna have a free sample pack if you're interested in that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. See ya.